Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Shravanam Diaries Podcast.
Hare Krishna, we're continuing to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, the book by His Divine Grace, Abhayacharana Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute, Text 25. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudhoyam nabhijanati lokomam ajamavyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. Purport. It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, then how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of the Kurus, when Shishupala spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme God. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as the reservoir of all pleasure. But to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. I remember in I forgot which book, Srila Prabhupada says that one of the reasons we are not Krishna conscious is because we think Krishna thinks exactly as we do. We think Krishna is just like us. But he is not. We are his parts and parcels, but we can't consider him to be just like ourselves. Okay. In the prayers of Kunti in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.19, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yoga Maya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. This Yoga Maya curtain is also confirmed in the Ishopanishad Mantra 15, in which the devotee prays, Hiranmanyena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tatvam pushan apavrinu satyadharmaya drishtaye. Quote, O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yoga Maya. The Brahma Jyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove the glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchit Ananda Vigraha. So remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchit Ananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge. Unquote. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the internal potency of the Brahmajyoti, and the less intelligent, impersonalists, cannot see the Supreme on this account. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.7, there is this prayer by Brahma. See, again, prayer by Brahma. Yesterday and today. Because we're talking about very intelligent stuff right now. Unquote. Quote first. There's prayer by Brahma. Quote, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world? You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world, or even the planets, but still they're unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. Unquote. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn, but also avyaya, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are all inexhaustible. Text 26. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda na kaschana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Purport. Here the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, were Maya, material, as the impersonalists consider him to be, then, like the living entity, he would change his body and forget everything about his past life. Anyone with a material body cannot remember his past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict the outcome of his present life. Therefore, he cannot know what is happening in past, present, and future. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, he cannot know past, present, and future. Unlike the ordinary human being, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what will happen in the future. In the 4th chapter, we have seen that Lord Krishna remembers instructing Vivasvan, the sun god, millions of years ago. Krishna knows every living entity because he is situated in every living being's heart as the super soul. But despite his presence in every living entity as super soul, and his presence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the less intelligent, even if able to realize the impersonal Brahman, cannot realize Sri Krishna as the Supreme Person. Certainly, the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He's just like the sun. And Maya is like a cloud. In the material world, we can see that there is the sun and that there are clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all these in the sky temporarily. But this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. The sun, moon, stars are not actually covered. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. By his internal potency, he is not manifest to the less intelligent class of men. As it is stated in the 3rd verse of this chapter, out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life. And out of thousands and thousands of such perfected men, hardly one can understand what Lord Krishna is. Even if one is perfected by realization of impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma, he cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, without being in Krishna consciousness. Actually, realizing Paramatma is a big thing, isn't it? Because we're always talking about these Brahmavadis, impersonalists, but even those who've realized Paramatma, he is the Supreme Lord within our heart. We're talking about the yogis, we're talking about those who see the Lord as the judge, as the order supplier. He is fulfilling all of our desires. He is present everywhere. He is within and without. Meditating on him, getting all those mystic powers from him. Paramatma. But we cannot possibly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, without being in Krishna consciousness. Text 27. Icha dvesha samudhena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani samoham sargeyanti parantapa. O scion of Bharat, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities, arisen from desire and hate. Icha, dvesha. Icha means desire, dvesha means hate. Have you thought about your Icha Shakti today? Purport. The real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Desire and hate. And then Prabhupada says that desire, like wanting to become one with the Supreme Lord, the ignorant person, he wants to become one and he envies Krishna. Basically, he hates Krishna. That's what Suhotra Maharaj said in his book Vedanta Psychology. It's not a very nice thing to say out loud, but like the way he would write it down, he's like, basically our materialistic consciousness is that we hate Krishna. Pure devotees who are not deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Shri Krishna appears by his internal potencies. But those who are deluded by duality and nescience think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, women and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc., thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house. I am the husband of this wife. I remember one time I told my husband, I'm like, something. I said something. You're my husband. And my Prabhu is like, Krishna is your husband. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, Krishna is my husband too. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. These are the dualities of delusion. Those who are so deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have to read the next verse, otherwise this chain of verses will not... this is a nice one, next one. Text 28. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrata. I'll repeat the last one. Bhajante mam dridhavrata. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. Purport. Those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse. Eligible. For those who are sinful, atheistic, foolish, and deceitful, it is very difficult to transcend the duality of desire and hate. Only those who have passed their lives in practicing the regulative principles of religion, who have acted piously, and who have conquered sinful reactions, can accept devotional service and gradually rise to the pure knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, gradually, they can meditate in trance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the process of being situated on the spiritual platform. This elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness, in the association of pure devotees. For in the association of great devotees, one can be delivered from delusion. Association of pure devotees. And where to find it. You have to know who pure devotees are. As I have to tell you, it's the end of the world, where you're like, a pure devotee, please tell me what to do. Yes, sure, done this, done that, yeah, what else should I do? And what? Vivekananda, is that you? It's like, this is just, all glories to, no, you know what I'm talking about, but okay, I'm sure my audience will understand me. Okay. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.2 that if one actually wants to be liberated, he must render service to the devotees. Mahat sevam dvara mahur vimukteh. But one who associates with materialistic people is on the path leading to the darkest region of existence. Tamodvaram yashitam sangi sangam. All the devotees of the Lord traverse this earth just to recover deconditioned souls from their delusion. The impersonalists do not know that forgetting their constitutional position as subordinate to the Supreme Lord is the greatest violation of God's law. Oh, wow. Look at that. This is beautiful. What is the greatest violation of the God's law? Forgetting your constitutional position as subordinate to the Supreme Lord. And you would think something else, isn't it? Something else is a violation. This is a violation. The greatest, wow. Unless one is reinstated in his own constitutional position, it is not possible to understand the Supreme Personality or to be fully engaged in his transcendental, loving service with determination. Oh, we're talking about intelligent persons in the next verse. Let's read this tomorrow. Let's read this tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The book links, previous episodes timeline, and biography of the author can be found on shravanamdiaries.com. The link is in the description, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna